passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoy.
Hello. Welcome. I am not your tour guide, but I am going to be your solo podcaster today. I am not a solo podcaster. I'm going to throw that out there, but I'm on the theme of solo travel this week. So I'm like, solo travel, solo podcast. It kind of ties in together. I'm going to try it out, but don't worry. This is not going to be a regular thing for me. I am under no illusion that I am more interesting than most people whatsoever. I am less interesting than most people, but unlike a lot of people, I just like to tell a good story and sometimes exaggerate my stories. So stick with me today. I'm going to do a solo podcast about solo travel. And next week, I've got a couple really great ones coming up. Talking to one of my friends who's in Antarctica right now. And so that one's going to be amazing. My excitement level is going to be at a 50 because that's always been at the top of my bucket list. So I cannot wait to talk to her while she's in Antarctica. So anyways, just to start on today's solo travel, I'm going to give you a few stories, just a few perspectives, and then I'm going to end it with my top 5 tips on solo travel. Whether you're a solo traveler or not, either way, thanks for sticking it out with me. So I don't know about you, but I always tend to reflect around my birthday. Around that month. And it is my birthday month. It's November. And if you want to apply some math to this situation, I was born in 1980. So apparently I'm 43 this month. And I'm feeling pretty good. I hear things, like my body makes sounds and noises it didn't used to make. But I think that's pretty normal. At least that's what I hear from my older peers. But overall, mentally, I feel like I'm in a great place. I like the perspective I have on the world, on nature, on beauty, on travel. So yeah, I feel pretty lucky and I'm feeling pretty good about this birthday. But I do take time every birthday to kind of sit down with myself. And you know what? If I'm being honest, I'll usually take time about every 4 months. I call it my quarterly sit down with myself. I don't really call it that because I'm not talking about it to anybody else. But in this moment, I am. So I'm telling you, it's a quarterly sit down with myself where I basically sit down and I'm just like, okay, let's ask the deep questions. Let's ask the shallow questions. Basically, just anything that's on me pressing at the moment. Like, am I happy? Am I working towards my goals? Define a few of my goals. That always seems to be helpful, whether they're grandiose or whether they're just, goals like I need to drink more water, which, let me be honest, that's actually a hard goal. I don't know why. I know there are some of you who are like, water is life and it's all I drink. And that's amazing. And you're amazing people. But when you factor in coffee in the mornings and wine at night, I'm just like, I'm not drinking as much water as I should. So anyways, I just review my goals. I review things that I'm doing. Actually, I'm laughing at myself because the last time that I kind of wrote down my goals and things to review, I actually wrote down, do I still know how to write in cursive? And so I had to play around with that because I'm like, man, it's been so long since I've written in cursive. Do I still have this skill? And for those of you who are under the age of, 30 maybe? I don't know if cursive is your forte, but hey, I'm not knocking it. Some of us learned it, some of us didn't. Anyways, so recently, whenever I was having my review with myself, I was like, I'm working on this podcast. Do people really want to hear your stories? Do people really want to hear people's travel stories and hearing about places that like maybe they haven't gone to, or maybe they haven't had the opportunity to go to these places? So do they really want to hear your stories? And I kind of came up with the short answer being no. And then the less short answer is, yeah, I think there's an audience. I really do. I think there's a time and a place where you can either catch a fellow traveler who has the same romantic sentiment on travel as you do, or you can occasionally catch that friend or loved one who is in the mood to humor me or you with their listening skills. And then if you're lucky, they might be truly interested. And you know what? I was thinking about this. I don't think people are uninterested on purpose, but I feel like some people find it unrelatable. Like some people may find your travel stories unrelatable. Maybe it is. Maybe yours are. Think about it. Like, oh, this one time I left home and I didn't take a shower for 4 days. And, I actually packed in my 30-liter pack instead of my 60-liter. So I really underpacked. And, I met up and we thumbed it across the U.S. And sometimes I just have to remember that your stories are not for everyone, but there is an audience and you can find people to look at you with that gleam of excitement and genuine interest when you tell them that your backpack only weighed 18 pounds or that you got lost for 2 hours on a dirt road, but you ended up in the most beautiful mountains surrounded by goats and chickens and cows. And you were greeted with somebody who lived locally that had a cup of coffee that was just, the best cup of coffee you've ever had. I feel like the best cup of coffee I've ever had is always in a new place, whether it is or whether it's not. I think my cup of coffee has a lot to do with my surroundings. And that might just be a me thing. Well, it also has to do with your cup. Let's be honest. The cup has a lot to do with it. I don't know the science behind it, but it's there. I also don't know the science behind the human need to tell a story. But if anybody is an expert in that field, please invite yourself on this show and give me a lesson on our human desire to be heard. Because again, I'm not under any illusion that, my stories are better than anybody else's, but like, it still feels amazing to be heard. And some of you can relate, some of you may not, but I just, sometimes we just get to those points in life where you just want somebody to listen. And I'm sure a lot of us have felt that way in some point. And to circle back to what I was saying about reflecting on my life right now, I was thinking just in general, as far as on the podcast, I listen to people and I'm like, I really want to relate that and transfer that into my everyday life as well. Just really taking the time to listen to people, whether they're my loved ones or they're not, So if you, this is my advice for you, if you have a friend or, they might be an avid traveler or not, just the next time you talk to somebody, kind of pay attention, just feel it out. See if it's that moment where you need to have a beer with them and ask them something. Like, I swear to you, if you ask a traveler, be like, hey, so what's one of your favorite places you visited so far? Or say, remember that one time you were in South Korea? I never asked you, but how was the food there? How was the culture there? How were the people? I mean, oh my God, dude, do it. Watch your friend's face light up. Seriously, watch a tear almost form in the left corner of their lower eye. Because I'm telling you, you're going to watch them readjust themselves in their seat because they're getting ready to get physically comfortable because they're going to be so excited just to be able to release and like tell you this story. And I'm telling you this, here's a little secret, just in general. It's probably not a secret, but I'm just throwing this out there. When somebody is telling their story, you don't have to be able to relate. And that's okay because it's their story. And by listening and literally even pretending that you care can make all the difference. And thinking, when I was younger and gallivanting around the world, I used to say to myself, oh my God, traveling can be such a lonely feeling. It can be such a lonely state of mind sometimes. Whenever I, especially on some of the solo travels. And then I would come back home and I would feel more alone in a room full of friends than I ever felt on the road. And, at some point I got to a point where I even felt guilty for feeling so lonely at home because I'm just being for real, have the most amazing family, amazing friends. My friend group is solid. And I felt like it then. And from time to time here, I still will feel like it. And, there's a quote about it. I need to figure out exactly what it said, but it was along the lines of being homesick for places that you had never even been to, for places you had never known. And so that homesickness, it was a struggle for me. And it is sometimes as well now, like having that wanderlust for new places where you can get lost without the anxiety of a timeline. And I'm saying all of this to say, one, based off my reflection, just don't forget to listen to people. Don't forget to just, be interested for a second. It feels good to be listened to. If you are a traveler and have a story that you want to tell, I'm telling you, I'm going to listen. I'll totally listen to you. Hit me up. You can hit me up at imnotyourtourguide@gmail.com. That is my fancy domain. But yeah, said all that to say, let me start off with a little story about solo traveling. So whether you're a fan of it or you hate it, either way, it can be an entertaining subject for the listener, and it can be a relivable moment for the storyteller. And in this moment, that person would be me. And I'm super pumped just about even thinking about this stuff again. And just even to be able to verbalize it out loud at this point to the wall, because I'm usually talking to somebody else. But if I really get into it and think about it and just kind of relive this story as I'm telling it, it almost feels like I am speaking to somebody. As the storyteller in this scenario, I'm going to set you up. And to preface this story, I want to tell you, and I made a mental note of this, I'm not telling you these terrible mistakes that I have made to discourage you. I'm legit sharing them with you because maybe they will save you from wasting some time on your trip by having to fix things. And I am the one person who will argue, because I'm a travel purist at heart sometimes. I'm like, no, you need those moments. You need those moments to reflect and have a story and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like kind of contradicting myself when I say this. But when I look back now, I wasted 5 days on mess ups. And I guess wasted isn't the right word, because I did get some good stories out of it. But there were so many more things that I could have done in those 5 days than backtrack and cover my tracks, and things that I could have done differently. So I don't know. As I'm saying it aloud, I'm like, I'm contradicting myself. But either way, let's just roll with it. Here we go. 10 years ago, had about 3 weeks off, time for travel. Some people have that much time in a row. Some people don't. Some people don't have that off in 2 years. So at the time, I was bartending so that I could take off. It just worked for me, worked for my schedule. I was also going to school to get a higher education so that maybe I could graduate before my daughter. So that was one of the things I was working towards, but had 3 weeks off. So I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a solo trip, feeling it. Why was I feeling a solo trip? I don't even know how to explain this to you. This is my most basic, I don't even know the term, how to define this. Girly? I don't know. It might not even be a girly thing. It could go across all genders. But it's like, some days how you just want to go to Target and you want to get a coffee and you want to smell some candles and then you want to go to the bookstore, and nothing makes you happier than doing it alone. Like, just alone. That's the moment that I want to have too, but I just want them to be longer. And I really can't explain it other than that. Like I just want that long run to Target, but I substitute Target and put in a couple countries along the way. So on this particular trip, I flew into Cusco, Peru. It's a quick little geography lesson, just in case you're unaware. In Peru, it's in South America. Cusco is it sits like southeast Peru. Back in my high school days, I remember learning it was the capital of the Inca Empire for like 3 centuries, more or less. It's a super populated city, lots of tourism, high altitude. That is one thing I will never forget. Like when you fly into this city, it's over 11,000 feet or 10 or 11,000 feet in elevation. Either way, that's high, okay? And it's Peru's 3rd highest city. And so there are actually nurses and like little doctor's office offices, or at least at the time there was, in the airport, because people would get off and we're like, oh my God, like they're having trouble breathing because it was just at the high altitude and thinner air. But anyways, it's a beautiful city, a lot of archaeological, I always have trouble with that word, archaeological remains. It's a beautiful city. One of the things that kind of stood out to me is like, hey, I want to do this, was mountain biking. And that's not something I'm great at. I'm mediocre at best, but I'm like, I'm in the hills. I'm in this beautiful, beautiful part of the world. So let's try it out. Mountain biking, it's a good reminder, especially for me, it's a good reminder that I'm mortal, because I would get to the top of some of these hills in Cusco and outside of Cusco where I was like, nope, not doing it. Like, I will walk down this. I will do the walk of shame down this hill with my bike in my hands. You have every once in a while you pass the tours. I don't think that's how you ride it. I don't think you're supposed to walk it. And I'm like, but anyways, I was definitely humbled by those. I mean, they call them hills. I'm saying cliffs, but definitely humbled by the cliffs and the mountain biking. Totally beautiful. Also did some day hikes out of Cusco. Beautiful views. People were amazing. It was just pretty magical. I drank so much tea. It was ridiculous. But from there, I spent a couple days there. And then I took an overnight bus to the Peruvian-Bolivian border. And rookie mistake number one on our list. Don't sleep anywhere with all of your important documents like not completely attached to you. And you may think, oh, you're a rookie, or oh, you're just a worrywart. Like, legit, I had my backpack like through my arm, but it was just one of those overnight bus rides where you're exhausted. It's warm inside. It was cold outside. I just got too comfortable, fell asleep, and I had some paperwork and stuff in my backpack and a little bit of money, dollars, I had money that I exchanged, but obviously not all of it, which is another tip I'll give you in a bit. But I wake up, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have everything in my money belt, but I'd had it in my day pack kind of resting on me, and it was gone. When I woke up, my backpack was still on me. My arm was still like through the straps, but I could kind of tell that the outside pocket had been opened and messed with. So when I open it up and look in it, I was like, shit. Yeah, one of my little pouches on the outside had been taken, which there's not an ATM on every corner whenever you're traveling outside of the cities. There's not even some in every city. So a little bit of backup cash is something that I always make sure I have. So my little backup cash, okay, that was done. That was gone. That was out of here. Fine, that can be replaced. But my yellow fever vaccination card got stolen. And at the time, in order to cross over to the border from Peru into Bolivia, if you were a U.S. citizen, you had to have your yellow fever vaccination card. Now, if you were from Britain or Australia or Zimbabwe, there were a lot of countries you could just go right through and you didn't need it. But at the time, an American citizen needed it. I didn't have it. It got stolen. So I'm rolling up in this bus at the border with things that I need that I don't have. So to make this part of it a short story, I had to jump through some hoops. I had to actually really jump through some hoops on this. And I can't tell you, unfortunately, my exact actions because they can't be recorded. Not for this particular scenario, but I'm just going to let you know. And you're like, you suck. I just want to be able to get into that country again if I ever need to. So I just can't. But it took me 3 days get this worked out. There was customs in Bolivia and a couple other things. And so, So what I'm saying here, you guys, is when you're sleeping, when you want to let your guard down because you just feel safe, you feel comfortable, you're like, it's all great. I'm on my way. I'm traveling. I'm good. Like, just don't let your guard down to the point where things can get stolen. because it really can put a damper in your trip. So that was my first point. Just keep your stuff tightly on you, your belt bag, your money bag, whatever you want to call it. Or I could have even kept it on my back and leaned up against the seat. There's a lot of things I could have done, but rookie mistake number one, I just kind of left it too far away from me. Okay, so let's continue with this. I'm in Peru, Bolivia border. I'm going to Lake Titicaca. That's a pretty fun name to say, let's be honest. I went to this one island called, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it exactly correct, Amantani Island. And oh my God, the water, the food, the views. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. It was a dream. Reminded me a tiny bit on some points of Greece, but still two very distinct, different cultures. I just had a moment. But if you don't like stairs, that island's probably not your jam. A lot of stairs, a lot of uphill getting to where you're going. But beautiful day trip if you're in Lake Titicaca area. From there, I headed down to La Paz, which is a very metropolitan area. Super busy. I mean, anything you need batteries, you need tampons, you need contact solution, any kind of food, you can find it in this city. Huge city. It's not the official capital of Bolivia, but it was established as the seat of government for the executive and legislative branches at one point. So there's a lot going on. Spent a few days there doing some urban exploring. It's a bit mysterious and it can be overwhelming to look at everything as you pass, but man, those sunsets, you got the snow-capped peaks and, of huge mountains just like in the backdrop. I would basically just stare at it and daydream of glacier climbs and how I should have planned one, but I did not make time on that particular trip. But it was wonderful. So my mistake here in La Paz, mistake number 2 is actually going along with my tip number 1, man. I was in such a state of like, life is amazing. I'm amazing. This moment's amazing. This lady making me fresh tortillas on a grill. They're amazing. Like, I was in such a state of travel euphoria that I didn't think logically again. So I was actually out on a tampon run to go get some, and I should have just used the toilet paper trick and waited till the next morning to go out and get tampons, because I made the mistake, went ahead and went out, had my passport in my backpack. It was zipped up. It was zipped up in my backpack. But you never know. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know what they think they're taking. And when I got back to my hostel, I was 12 tampons heavier and one less passport. So yeah, I just got it pickpocketed out of my backpack whenever I was out and about. Which again, it's not something that's a scary scenario. It wasn't in a scary scenario. I was in a heavily trafficked area, but I should have had that passport in my money belt, like on my person. And I don't know why I just thought it was a great idea just to throw it in my backpack. So that was definitely a rookie mistake. And guess what? Because of that, I had to hear some of the scariest words I've ever heard in my life. And it was, you could get your passport revoked if you get it stolen again. The gentleman at the U.S. American Embassy gave me those words after I had to let him know that my passport was gone. And took me a whole 2 days to go through that. And I had to go back to customs, Bolivian customs as well, because I had to get this new passport. And if you ever lose your passport, hopefully you're in a country where there is an American embassy. It definitely makes it a lot easier. But if you can avoid it at all costs, God, it's a pain. It is a pain, just especially when the only form of identification that I had was, I had one of those old school Bank of America cards that has your little picture in the corner. I still had my picture in the corner. That was the only way I could verify who I was. And it was so annoying because one of the other things I always preach to people is make a copy of your passport, make a copy of your yellow fever vaccination, anything that's like legit that you need, make a copy of it, keep it in another place. So if I got my passport on me in my money belt, keep a copy of the passport in your suitcase or your backpack, in a sock, just somewhere random where you have some sort of proof of who you are. I preach these things all the time to people, and I failed miserably on this trip. I just didn't do the things that I normally do. And it was a reminder like, hey, like you do these things for a reason. So guess what? Now you got to spend 2 days trying to get another passport. So whatever. Wasn't the end of the world, but yeah, it just took up time. And I'm lucky that I was able to get a new passport, but at the same time, if you can avoid it, why not avoid it? So don't lose your passport quite a few times or get it stolen, because guess what? You can get it revoked and they can choose not to give you one again. And that's terrifying. So anyways, get my new passport. I had planned to go on this overnight bus to the southern part of Bolivia to the salt flats. So I took this overnight bus, became friends with the person I sat next to. And you know why? Because it was freezing. Because get on this bus, because it's overnight, I put my backpack on the top of the bus with everybody else's and they like tie it down. And I didn't have layers in my little day pack that I brought on the bus with me because every bus I had been on thus far in that country had been pretty warm, like a tolerant temperature inside the bus. But on this one, when I didn't bring my layers, I happened to be sitting in a bus where 2 of the windows were broke. One of them was like to the front of me to the left. So like flying through the window is just this freezing cold air, because it really did. It dropped down to, I want to say, the 40s that evening. And then, it's an overnight bus and it's just flying and hitting you in your face all night. And the bus was packed, so it's not like I could have got up and moved seats. But me and I think it was an Australian guy sitting next to me, we just became friends because he had a blanket and he was like, do you want me to share this blanket with you? And I'm like, please, like, let's share it. So we became best friends over that trip. But one of my tips that I just want to always say is layers. And I always bring layers on a trip, but like, even on a bus, even if I'm just not sure, you never know. You never know. So I really do encourage you. So just even your little day pack, put some layers in there, or put a blanket, or put a thin hoodie or something, because to be on a 10-hour bus ride and just be freezing the whole time, it just could have been avoided, right? So whatever. Layers, layer up. So La Paz to Uyuni. I get there. I'd set up beforehand this 3-day tour through the Bolivian salt flats. And, it was we're getting in this 7-seater Toyota, maybe Land Ranger. I don't know. It was a Toyota. I just remember that. No, I think it was a 4Runner, and I'm going with 4Runner. It was a 4Runner. And there was 6 tourists, and then there was a driver. I was the only American. I think there were 3 Japanese girls and 2 from somewhere in Eastern Europe. And, but anyways, I hit it off pretty well with the 3 Japanese girls. And we spent the next 3 days together on this tour. And the overall itinerary for this tour was incredible. If you ever have the opportunity to go down to these Bolivian salt flats, oh my God, I can't even stress enough. Just take it and go. I spent 2 nights in salt flat, like hostels. They're made of salt blocks from the flats. It was just such a cool experience. So different. The landscape just changed constantly. So basically on that day 1, we started off in this heading into the desert. I mean, it's such a unique environment. You pass all these cacti and everything around you is just salt. in this beautiful white, almost reflective salt. And I just remember thinking, I have never seen anything like this. Just so unique. So we spent the first night there. And then the next day, man, panoramic views of lagoons. And it was just, oh man, seemed like everything in my sight was red and pink at one point. And this is one of the highest deserts in the world, I want to point out. So there were spots along this tour that we were over 15,000 feet in elevation. So guess what? Because even though I prided myself at that point in life that I was like, oh yeah, I'm in shape. I'm in good shape. I'm great. I'll be fine doing anything. It doesn't matter what good of shape you're in. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, either you're prone to altitude sickness or you're just not, or you're just great and you're fine breathing in at 25,000 feet above sea level. I'm not one of those people. I have felt in life that every time I get above like 13, 14, I start to really feel it. And man, I started feeling it on this. And guess what? This is just one of those times where I should have known, like, I should have spent a few more days acclimating in Uyuni, the town that we started, before heading out on this tour. Like, I should have just taken more time at that altitude so that I wouldn't get this altitude sickness, because it is the worst. I'm talking, it's like morning sickness mixed with wanting to die. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's a terrible feeling. If you've ever had it, I'm so sorry. I can feel your pain. You really debate death. You're like, I've seen enough, right? And this was beautiful. What a way to go out. What a way to be like, hey, she died in the Bolivian salt flats. I can go out that way, because I felt terrible. And it kind of reminded me, like, dude, slow down. Like, take more time. Take more time in these higher altitudes before going higher. Let your body adjust. Ever. Your brain just thinks it's invincible, and it's not. So you're going to have to listen to your body, bypass what the brain always is telling you what to do, and just listen to your body sometimes. And if you're on these trips and you're going to high altitude, sometimes just give yourself a few more days. In my case, if I could have got back those days that I spent getting a new passport and yellow fever vaccination card, I could have had more time to acclimate. But, at this point I was kind of rushing, and it was just a good reminder that I need to slow down and listen to my body. So to continue on with the trip, went to Laguna Colorado. This was like the lagoon to see, like flocks of flamingos. They settle there, and there's apparently so much plankton in the lake. Plankton. I can't say that word without thinking about SpongeBob. But anyways, there's so much plankton in the lake. All these flocks of pelican. Oh my God. All these flamingos come and they settle here and breed here. Man, your eyes are just like overwhelmed by all the pink hues everywhere. And it's such a natural wonder that is worth seeing. That was incredible. So fast forward to the last day, man, we go to this geyser field. The activity was high. It was hard to breathe when you got pretty close. And let's be honest, it was hard to breathe for me anyways, because I had altitude sickness and I just wanted to kill people. But it was still, visually, it was wonderful. Inside, I felt like I wanted to die, but I just kept reminding myself, oh my God, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. After that, we hit up some hot springs, and then we get to the border, because we're crossing over into Chile, because we were going to end our tour at the Atacama Desert, and in San Pedro de Atacama. San Pedro de Atacama is where it was ending, which is in the Atacama Desert. When we have to show our passports to get over into the border of Chile during this tour, they just look at me and they're like, why is your passport empty? And I'm like, okay, so here's what happened. I got it stolen. I'm an idiot. Had to go get a new one. I don't have a stamp in it at all, because this new. And they were like, so you don't have an entry stamp into Bolivia, but you're in Bolivia. And I was like, oh my God. So I was able to talk my way through, because I had a passport. It was just, they couldn't understand why I was there with an empty passport, which totally makes sense. But Atacama Desert, oh my God, it just like, everything just kept getting better. So of course I was like, I got to take a bike ride here. I went to, I remember biking to Moon Valley, the sunset. Oh God. And the stargazing, dude, it's one of the best places in the world to see stars. I mean, thank you, gracias to the high altitudes, the low humidity, the fact it's a desert, the fact that almost light pollution is non-existent, the climate, it's super arid. Apparently, it's similar to Mars. That's what I learned on a tour there. I don't know if they were just saying that to make me go, wow, but guess what I did? Wow. And it's pretty incredible. And people like scientists, astrologists, people come from all over the world to study the stars, constellations, other planets. So what I'm telling you here is go. Like, what an incredible place to see. Atacama Desert. It's just, yeah, it's got some tourism going on, as it should, but be part of that tourism, man. Oh my God. It's quite a place to visit. And then from there, you can just head south and go to Santiago, go to Patagonia, head on over into the lower regions, into Argentina and see some glaciers while you're there. But oh man, I'm just telling you, what a great trip. And sometimes, whenever I'm talking about these trips and I'm kind of reliving it through my memories, even though I feel like it's super therapeutic to talk about these trips, I do want to just give you these tips. Okay, so let's go over some of the things that I talked about, and I'm going to hit a few more points. But number one, if you're taking a nap, whether it's in Bolivia or New York, like, keep your stuff secure. Just be aware. Don't get too comfortable. Don't be under this illusion that all people are amazing and all people are good and all people are kind. I mean, that's great if you think that way, but it's not always great for the things that are in your pockets. So just be careful. Don't lower your guard too much. And number two, keep some cash, like cash, like efectivo, like legit cash in a separate place. So I would maybe keep some in the inside of my jacket pocket. I might keep some in a sock in my backpack. And I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars, but just a little bit of cash, because you never know when you're going to get to a point where money has been stolen, a credit card has been stolen, a wallet has been stolen, and you just need some cash to maybe get you a hostel, to maybe get into a hotel and get a phone and phone a friend, or figure out where the U.S. Embassy is. Like, you just never know when you're going to need it. I really do recommend just keeping a little bit of cash in a couple different places while you're traveling. It has really come in handy on more than one occasion for me. Number three, make a copy of your passport, visa, travel documents, whatever. Put it in a separate place. Don't make a copy of your passport, fold it up, and then put it right beside your passport. And then put it in your money belt. Like, if God forbid, something does happen to your money belt, like, there goes your passport and the copy of your passport. So, put those in separate places. Put it in a sock. Number four, layers. I need for you to bring some layers. You want to look cute. I know some of you like wear layers to look cute, but just don't forget. I mean, throw in a hat, throw in like a shawl, a scarf, something. It has really come in handy on bus rides, taxi rides, tuk-tuk rides. Even some instances, places I ended up having to stay overnight that wasn't planned. Layers have legit saved my life at some points. Okay, number five. I didn't talk about this one, but a flashlight. Oh my God. There's been so many moments of traveling where darkness would have been an issue. And yeah, you can be like, oh, I have my cell phone light. Okay, that's fine. And hopefully your battery doesn't die. But like a legit flashlight has got me home during thunderstorms when a whole city has gone out and the power has gone out. And I don't want my phone getting wet in a thunderstorm. So they have been such a help. And it was a help on this solo travel trip as well, because the places that I stay may not always come with electricity. It just depends on how thrifty I'm feeling. But yeah, that's my little overview. Things to do, things not to forget. If you're a veteran traveler, you may be listening to this being like, she's an idiot, and that would never happen to me. And I hope that it doesn't. But sometimes, like I said, just to reiterate, you let your guard down because you feel so comfortable. Like sometimes you feel more comfortable traveling than you do on your own street. And so, yes, that's how I felt. And I let my guard down. But anyways, I have felt like this has been very therapeutic to talk about some of these good times that I've had, and maybe not some of the good times. But at this point, when I'm nestled in my bedroom and I'm surrounded by everything that I need, I can now laugh at this situation and be like, man, I'm such an idiot. I should have done that differently. But thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to me. I mean, some of these moments were just breathtaking moments that have appeared in my life. So I want to say that whether you are planning on taking a solo trip, which I totally recommend, as my friend Rob the Clerk used to say, I recommend the world. It's better than a cruise. No offense against you cruisies. I don't need to get a bunch of emails on that. But I'm just saying, if you're planning a solo trip, or if you're planning a trip with your bestie, which I just did an interview with a girl named Melanie. She is a woman that I interviewed last week, and she operates Travel Light. She does group trips. So if you're thinking, hey, I want to get a little adventure in, but maybe not start with a solo, start with her, hit her up. But whatever floats your personal boat, I hope that you keep traveling. I hope that you keep meeting people that you will never talk to again. I hope that you will underpack. I hope that you will limit your screen time when you're on the road. And I hope that you keep telling your stories, because they are beautiful and they are yours. So follow me on the Insta if you already don't. Let me know. Hit me up if you do a solo travel or a travel trip. I love to hear about it. That's my jam. That's my thing. Take care. I will talk to everybody soon, and I will have a partner in crime next time I'm talking, so it's not just me and my country accent. Take care. Travel safe.